Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Fantastic Five. This week, we're counting down the most criminally underused members of Superman's Rogues Gallery. In his career as comics' oldest superhero, Superman has racked up a sizable stable of foes. But despite having such notable enemies as Parasite, Metallo, the Atomic Skull, and Mr. Mxyzptlk, comic and especially movie and TV writers tend to return to the well of Lex Luthor, General Zod, Luthor, 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 Zod, and Luthor. If you're writing a Superman comic or movie, allow me to offer a few alternatives. First, a shout out to a couple of cool concepts who didn't quite make the list. Titano, the King Kong with laser eyes, who only didn't make the list because we already talked about him in the Best Gorillas video. Loophole, an intangible villain whose codename / power set combo is too clever for him to have only appeared in a handful of comics. The Gargoyle, a nearly blind and deaf assassin whose striking visual belies his single Golden Age appearance. Zavam, a superpowered agent of the ancient gods whose gimmick means that Superman could fight him instead of writers having to contrive reasons for him to beat up his friend Captain Marvel. And the Composite Superman, an angry janitor imbued with all the powers of Superman, Batman, and the whole legion of superheroes. Now on to the top 5. Number 5, the Prankster. First appearing in 1942's Action Comics number 51 in a story by Jerry Siegel and John Sakella, Prankster Oswald Loomis would go on to be one of Superman's most commonly recurring foes of the 40s and 50s. Although he has been rebooted and updated a number of times, he is most frequently updated as a maniacal killer or a hired gun with prank-themed gadgets, usually forgetting his original gimmick, which is that he was a con man so annoying he would cause Superman to defeat himself in frustration. A return to that would be cool, and as long as we're asking for things, let's get a return to the bobble-headed weeble physique from the old days, huh? Number 4, Terra Man. Terra Man first appeared in 1972's Superman number 249, in a story by Cary Bates and Kurt Swan. Tobias Manning was born in the Old West, but was abducted as a child by an alien who trained him in the use of futuristic weapons technology and gave him a flying space horse. He named himself Terra Man in reference to the planet of his birth, and then begins a career of interstellar crime. I mean, come on, he's a laser cowboy on a space horse. What more do you want? A later version of Terra Man was just a generic dude in uninteresting armor, which loses 1000% of the visual punch of the original. As of this writing, Terra Man has not been introduced into DC's post-Flashpoint universe. There's still time to right this wrong, unnamed DC writer who I can only assume is watching this. Number 3, Funny Face. Funny Face's first appearance in the story The Case of the Funny Paper Crimes in 1942's Superman number 19 by Jerry Siegel and Ed Dabaka is, for reasons I literally cannot understand, his only appearance as far as I can tell. Funny Face's gimmick is that he is a failed cartoonist who builds a machine powered by strange dimensional energy that allows him to bring two-dimensional characters from the funny pages to life. He builds an army for Superman to battle out of the villains of the most popular comic strips of the day. Besides his truly striking and memorable look, the potential within his concept for humorous meta-commentary makes it all the more shocking that someone like Grant Morrison hasn't brought Funny Face off the old dusty shelf. Number 2, Faora Hool. Faora first appeared in 1977's Action Comics number 471, in a story by Cary Bates and Kurt Swan. While in the time since then she has primarily been depicted as that woman who stands next to Zod, in her earliest appearances she was depicted as an expert in the Kryptonian martial art Horo Kanu, who hated men so much that she tortured and killed dozens of them in a concentration camp she built in her own home. She doesn't need Zod. Despite being many fans' favorite part of the Man of Steel movie, Faora has only made a small handful of appearances since the film. DC recently made some noise about wanting to give Superman his own Joker. Why didn't they turn to the expert in space kung fu who built her own murder farm? Number 1, Count Dragarin and Lupek. One of the most tragically underused concepts by the king of comics, Jack Kirby, was Transylvane, a miniature artificial planet so metal that it actually grew devil horns. First appearing in 1971's Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen number 142, Transylvane was designed to be a simulated extraterrestrial environment that was planted with artificial life, who were then raised to be classic movie monsters, including Frankensteins, vampires, zombies, ghouls, and mummies. The most prominent denizen of this planet was Count Dragarin, who used a coffin-shaped, size-changing ship to take himself and his werewolf companion Lupek to Earth to stop the destruction of his planet by his creator. Transylvania and its inhabitants have been referenced 2 or 3 times since, but I think we can agree that the world is ready for the return of a shape-changing nanotech Dracula. That's all for this week. Join us again in 7 more days when I'm gonna say 5 more good things. Thanks for watching this episode of Fantastic Fives. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Comics Alliance for more comic facts, and check out comicsalliance.com for more comic awesomeness.